Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances of Gausheshwar Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to this morning's Bhagavatam class. This morning we continue with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, verses 36 and 37. We'll be covering 2 verses today. And we are in the chapter that is entitled Maharaj Parikshit Cursed by the Brahmin Boy. And we are in the middle of the discussion where the Brahmin boy finds out what happens to his dad and he gets very angry. And we're getting into that whole pastime here, and we're very happy to have His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu with us. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhupada, Vanchakalpatribhyascha, Kripasindobevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna Prabhu, and it's all yours.
I was trying to send a picture in the chat, but it doesn't let me.
Oh.
It says, when I try to do it, it says, it only can be done during the class, but anyway.
Oh, do you want to try again, Prabhu, now and see if we can?
Yeah, okay. No, it still didn't work for some reason. Okay, well, whatever. Okay.
Would it help if I made you co-host? Can that help? Bring it out?
Try it. Try it.
Okay.
I can send a message. Now. I just can't. I can't copy and paste. I had a map I wanted to show, but it doesn't let me copy and paste. I can send a verbal message, whatever.
Okay. Okay.
Next time, I guess, a little ahead of time.
Maybe I could send it to one of you, and then you could put it up at the right time. Is that right?
Yeah, Prabhu. Do you want to try that, Prabhu? You can send it to me and Parikshit because he's hosting, and then I'll show him how to pull it up.
Okay, great. Doing it now. Oh, wow. There you go. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha
Radha
Madhava
Madhava
Kunja
Kunja
Bihari.
Bihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya
Radha
Radha Madhava
Madhava
Kunja
Kunja
Bihari.
Bihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari
Jaya
Gopi
Gopi Jana
Janavallabha
Vallabha
Girivaradhari.
Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari
Jaya
Gopi
Gopi Jana
Janavallabha
Vallabha
Girivaradhari.
Girivaradhari
Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana
Dana Rajajana
Rajajana
Ranjana
Ranjana
Jashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodhana
Yashodanandana
Rajajana
Rajajana
Ranjana
Ranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna
Yamuna
Tira
Tira
Vanachari
Vanachari
Jamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna
Yamuna
Tira
Tira Vanachari
Vanachari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya
Jaya
Radha
Radha
Madhava
Madhava Kunja
Kunja Bihari
Bihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya
Jaya Radha
Radha Madhava
Madhava Kunja
Kunja
Bihari
Bihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari
Gopi
Jaya Gopi Jana
Janavallabha
Vallabha Girivaradhari
Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari
Jai
Gopi
Gopi Jana
Janavallabha
Vallabha
Girivaradhari
Girivaradhari
Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana
Braja Jana
Rajajana
Ranjana
Ranjana
Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana
Braja Jana
Rajajana
Ranjana
Ranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna
Yamuna
Tira
Tira
Vanachari
Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna
Yamuna
Tira
Tira Vanachari
Vanachari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya
Jaya
Radha
Radha
Madhava
Madhava
Kunja
Punjabi
Bihari
Hari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya
Jaya
Radha
Radha Madhava
Madhava
Kunja
Punjabi Hari
Bihari
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajak Acharya Ashtottara Satashi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai
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 Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai
Jai
ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय।
Jai.
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की जय।
Jai.
Jai.
वृंदावन धाम की जय।
Jai.
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय।
Jai.
Jai.
गंगा माई की जय।
Jai.
जमुना माई की जय।
Jai.
Jai.
तुलसी देवी की जय।
Jai.
भक्ति देवी की जय।
Jai.
Jai.
श्रमवेता भक्तवृंद की जय।
Jai.
Jai.
गौर प्रेमानंदे।
Hari Hari
Hari Hari Hari
Bol.
Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Shami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 18th chapter, 36th verse. Iti uktva roshatam raksho vyavasyan rishibalaka koshikapa upasprishya vagvajram visasarjaha. Iti uktva roshatam raksho vyavasyan rishibalaka Kaushikapa upasprisya vagvajram vishasarjaha iti uktva roshatam raksho vyavasyan rishibalaka Kaushikapa upasprisya vagvajram vishasarjaha.
Iti Varusatam Raksha Tam Raksho Yavasyan Rishibalaka Koshikapa Upasprisha Vagvajram Visasarjaha.
Little tongue twisters this today, yes.
Tongue twister for me. Very good.
Eti yukvarosatam raksho vayasyan rishibalaka koshikyapa upasprisya vagvajram visasarjaha. Hare Krishna.
Nicely done. One more person, please. Thank you. Iti, thus, uktva, saying, Rosha Tamra Aksha, with red hot eyes due to being angry. Vayasyan, unto the playmates. Rishi Balaka, the son of a rishi. Kaushiki, the river Koshika. Apa, water. Upasprisya, by touching. Vak, words. Vajram, thunderbolt. Visasarja, through. Ha, in the past. Translation. The son of the rishi, his eyes red hot with anger, touched the water of the river Kaushika while speaking to his playmates and discharged the following thunderbolt of words. Purport. The circumstances under which Maharaj Parikshit was cursed were simply childish, as it appears from this verse. Shringi was showing his impudency amongst his playmates who were innocent. Any sane man would have prevented him from doing such a great harm to all human society. By killing a king like Maharaj Parikshit, just to make a show of acquired Brahminical power, the inexperienced son of a Brahmana committed a great mistake. Next verse. I'll just chant it once, and then we'll read the translation and purport. Iti lankita maryadang takshaka saptame khani dangshyati smatkulagraram chodito me tatadruham. The Brahman's son cursed the king thus. On the 7th day from today, a snake bird will bite the most wretched one of that dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit, because of his having broken the laws of etiquette by insulting my father. Purport. Thus, the beginning of the misuse of Brahminical power began. And gradually, the Brahmanas in the age of Kali became devoid of both Brahminical powers and culture. The Brahmin boy considered Maharaj Parikshit to be Kulanga, or the wretched of the dynasty. But factually, the Brahmin boy himself was so, because only from him did the Brahmin caste become powerless. Like the snake whose poisoned teeth are broken. The snake is fearful as long as his poisoned teeth are there. Otherwise, he is fearful only to children. The personality of Kali conquered the Brahmin boy first, and gradually the other castes. Thus, the whole scientific system of the orders of society in this age has assumed the form of a vitiated caste system, which is now being uprooted by another class of men similarly influenced by the age of Kali. One should see the root cause of vitiation and not try to condemn the system as it is without knowledge of its scientific value. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Shapandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before speaking, I need to ask the permission and blessings from all devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age and or advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. These two verses focus on the cursing of Maharaj Parikshit here by the Brahmin Shringi. And a couple things I'd like to point out at first. So this took place on the bank of, which river was that?
Koshik?
Koshiki, yeah. So if you search the internet for the Koshiki River, they don't call it the Koshiki River anymore. They call it the Koshi River. At least that's what they say. So the Koshiki River now is, over time, words get changed or adjusted to different ways. So now that same river, Koshika, according to internet search anyway, is called the Koshi, and it's also a tributary of the Ganges, and that's the one I had the map of. I wanted to take a look at that map just for a moment. Can we do that?
Okay. It's not on there yet.
Yeah, he wants you to flip it to the map, ma.
Yeah. I'm gonna go share that and that.
Ah,
There. Can we make it bigger a little bit like it was before?
yeah, can you zoom in?
Zoom in.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You
Where
want me
do
to
you
come?
zoom? Yes,
Okay, I'm coming up to help you.
Okay.
because
Well,
I
the
don't know
reason
where.
I wanted to show this map was to see the location of where this occurred in relation to, the capital of the Pandavas, of whom Parikshit Maharaj is a descendant. So the capital of the Pandavas being Hastinapur, which is by New Delhi. We see New Delhi. If you can barely make it out on the far left there of the map. Can you make it out there?
Yes, bro.
Yeah, there's the Koshi River there on the right. Anyway, if we can't get it bigger, that's okay. People with better eyes than me can really see. Okay, there, yeah. See all the way over there, New Delhi. That's nearby. That near there is where Parikshit Maharaj's capital is, and here all the way over here is the Koshi River, or what used to be called the Koshiki River. So you see, he was quite a distance, quite away from home, right? And he was in his doing hunting, and apparently at this time he was by himself. Nobody else was with him right at this particular moment when this happened. So quite a distance from home. The Koshiki River. We don't have to need that. I just wanted to show that. So
We can take
what's
it off
happened?
now?
Yeah, we can change it. So we can go back to the verse. Just for me, it makes it more realistic to see all the, the locations and times and places and all that stuff. So what does the Brahmin boy Shringi do before uttering the curse? He takes some water from the Koshiki River and does upasprisya. Upasprisya means achaman, like achman. Many times when even Arjuna launched his weapons, you'll find that he does upasprisya. This was a regular practice in dealing with a subtle energy. Similarly, in the worship of Lord Krishna, or doing yajnas or doing puja, in the beginning, you do upasprisya or achaman. There's a purificatory to make your activities effective. So this is a very interesting thing, and Srila Prabhupada talks about in the purport how although the Brahmin boy is saying that Parikshit Maharaj is being puffed up, thinking he could punish or humiliate his father, the Shringi's father. Really, it was the Brahmin boy who was puffed up. Lord Jesus Christ said, before criticizing others, but you first remove all of your faults, the log from before criticizing the speck in the other person's eye, remove the log from yours. So this is a standard a standard procedure that happens, phenomena that happens usually the things we find most objectionable, not always, but usually the things we find most disturbing in others are the things we struggle with most ourselves. Does that make sense? For example, one
Yeah.
time there was a class, I was in a class given by one renunciate, and he was going on and on about the evils of grihastha life, married life. I mean, there's truth to that to a certain extent, but it was just over the top. So then shortly thereafter, guess what happened? Renunciate got married. This is something we can be careful about, the things that we have the most objectionable or find the most disturbing to others. Not always the case, but it's not unusual for it to be something that we have to develop or improve on ourselves. So in this case, the Brahmin boy Shringi, he was thinking that his father had been humiliated by Parikshit Maharaj, and therefore he wanted to retaliate. And his retaliation was for the offense was to kill Parikshit Maharaj. And who is Parikshit Maharaj? Parikshit Maharaj wasn't a small potentate or just somebody and we read about in books, but he was the overlord, the emperor of the entire world. Not only that, he was beloved of the people in the entire world as well, 99%, which is very interesting. So when you have a king who's a ruler, who's beloved, and the reason he's beloved because he is instituting Krishna conscious government, which is beneficial for all, then to arrange for that leader's assassination. This is an assassination. Let's make no bones about it. It's an assassination. Some of you might have been around during the time of John F. Kennedy's assassination. He was only the leader of one small country, but it was a big deal, right? So this is the leader of the entire world being assassinated by this boy Shringi, this Brahmin Shringi. And of course, we know people appreciated John F. Kennedy's some good qualities. Of course, he had some good qualities and some other qualities as well. But Parikshit Maharaj was a pure devotee of the Lord. Such a wonderful circumstance to have a pure devotee of the Lord in charge of things. And that way the world goes, politics goes, economy goes, ruling goes wonderfully. To have that person assassinated by a young boy is certainly incredibly lamentable. You follow? I mean, this is what's going on. So Srila Prabhupada describes in the purport that this idea, this cursing by Shringi was childish. In regular law, there's a principle that you're allowed to retaliate an offense, but only equally to the offense. For example, if someone is, pushes you, you can't kill the person. Or in the biblical literature, it says an eye for an eye, equal, a tooth for a tooth, right? Equal, you can't go over the top, and someone, for a little offense, you can't retaliate, hugely, which is what's going on here. So in your experience, we're all living in the world. Do you ever have a time when after a small little offense, there was a big retaliation. Do you ever see that?
All the time. It's
Can you
called
give an example?
road rage. An
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
insult and somebody pulls a gun.
Yes, 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 yes. I remember one time I went to the swimming pool, and you know, in the swimming pool you have a locker room where you change your clothes. So there's a guy who's changing his clothes. He had put his he was on his way to work, so he put his suit jacket on the door of the locker that he was using. But in that way, at that place, there was no way to walk through. It was the open door to the locker was blocking the way to walk through. So I had just come from the pool. I walked as carefully as I could past his coat, but I touched it and got a little water on it because I was wet. Oh my God. The man erupted. He wanted to fight me right there. A little bit of water. So what do you call that? What do you call that? In ordinary parlance, you call that someone who has a chip on their shoulder, don't you? You got a chip on their shoulder. They're ready to fight at the drop of a hat. Usually, very often that happens in when someone's intoxicated, isn't it? In bars, or I mean, devotees don't go to bars, at least not for drinking, not too much for preaching either. But in bars, somebody makes a comment, immediately people want to fight because they have this feeling, you know, of power from their intoxication. So here, Shringi, intoxicated with his Brahminical power, he wanted to get revenge, immediately revenge on Parikshit Maharaj for his minor offense of garlanding the sage with a dead snake. Srila Prabhupada calls it childish. And another factor involved in this cursing was that his friends were there. And when you have your friends around, what do you want to do? Show off. If you're materially motivated, right? You want to show off. So Shringi, he heard it from one of the other boys that his father had been insulted. So he wanted to show off his Brahminical power, and in that way, but way beyond an equal response to what Parikshit Maharaj had done. So what did he do? He cursed Parikshit Maharaj to die in 7 days by the bite of a snake bird. Now, this is another interesting thing. What are the qualities of a Brahmin? The qualities of a Brahmin: sama, dhamma, tapa, shaucham, kshantir, arjavam, evacha, jnana, vijnana, astikyam, brahmakarma svabhavajam. Lord Krishna describes the qualities of the Brahmin in the Bhagavad Gita. These are the qualities. So, and a Brahmin is known not just by birth, but by quality and by work. So, shama, equanimity; dhamma, sense control; tapa, austerity; saucham, cleanliness; kshanti. Kshanti has different meanings. Shanti can mean very peaceful. It can also mean forgiving. So, arjavam, honesty; eva, jnana, vijnana, astikyam, knowledge, realized knowledge, and religiosity. These are the qualities by which the Brahmin work. So one of those qualities is forgiveness, but we don't see Shringi with the chip on his shoulder being ready to forgive. That's what that means. He wasn't really steeped or following Brahminical principles. Does that make sense? Yeah. Showing off to his sense with a chip on his shoulder, showing off his potency, his power. Now, another interesting thing is that this same Parikshit Maharaj, just before this, he encountered Kali Yuga personified, who was beating the legs of a cow and a bull. And what was he about to do? He was about to kill Kali for beating the cow and the bull, isn't it? So, but Kali Yuga surrendered to him and said, no, please, don't kill me. Don't kill me. You know, please give me some place to stay. So Parikshit Maharaj, being kind, he forgave Kali Yuga, isn't it? And he said, okay, you can stay in those places where illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating are there. But then Kali said, wait, there's no place in your kingdom like that. So he said, okay, go where this gold is hoarded. Gold is hoarded. So he was kind and forgiving to Kali Yuga. But then we find out in this case that Kali Yuga was not kind and forgiving to Parikshit Maharaj. You follow? How is that? Because we'll see that because of the influence of Kali Yuga, Kali particularly targeted Shringi to begin the influence and the degradation of the Brahminical class, and following that the Kshatriya class. So that's very interesting. So Parikshit Maharaj forgave, but Kali was still didn't forgive. Similarly to like when Arjuna vowed to kill Ashvatthama, the son of his martial guru, Dronacharya, because Ashvatthama had killed his son and nephews while they were sleeping. So he took that vow. But then when it came, he captured him and he was about to kill. Lord Krishna was there, Yudhishthira was there, Bhima was there, and Draupadi was there. So he was about to kill, but then Draupadi said, no, please don't kill. I know I was unhappy because my sons have been killed, but now Dronacharya's wife, this is the only son she has, now don't kill. So what did Arjun do instead of killing Ashwatthama? He messed up his hair, took out his jewel. So he humiliated him, which is like death. So he didn't kill him. So then, in retaliation, what did Ashwatthama do? He tried to kill Parikshit Maharaj. So you could think, well, that wasn't a good. He should have killed Ashwatthama, right? But Lord Krishna saved the day by protecting his devotee, Parikshit Maharaj, in the womb. So this is very interesting stuff. So here we're talking about the curse, and I was thinking about cursing. I don't know. Hopefully, none of you have ever been cursed. But what is a curse? How does it happen? Are they real, or are they just something we read about in mystical literature? An interesting point. I was looking at cursing, and other words for curses would be spells, incantations, these kinds of things. So actually, if you want to, you can go online and you can pay somebody to cast a spell on somebody you want, if you want to. You have to pay, pay something, and you can cast good spells and bad spells, and they'll do that for you in case you want. I'm not advocating that, but it's very interesting that you can do that. But here it's the word here, Vak Vajram. Vak Vajram means, the words that are like a thunderbolt. Those words, the words coming out of his mouth were such powerful that they set some activities in motion that resulted in the death of Parikshit Maharaj by this snake bird. So I'm trying to understand how this works, because sometimes you have curses described in the Vedic literature where the curses can be adjusted after they're given. Have you ever come in contact with those kind of curses?
Never heard that?
Yeah.
You have? Oh,
No, oh, not us, but in the
You read about it. We don't
in the
have. You haven't
Shastra.
done it. You
Yeah,
haven't done it before. Yeah.
Arjun
Like.
was cursed, but the time was limited to 1 year when Urvashi.
Yeah. So very interesting. This is a very interesting. Urvashi cursed Arjun, right?
Mhm.
Urvashi cursed Arjun, but then Indra said, "Don't worry, it's just going to be for a year." So it didn't. Then the curse didn't happen immediately, right?
No,
It
yeah.
didn't happen immediately. It happened like some years later. So apparently, there's, curses with a fuse on them. A long fuse, or you follow? Yeah,
Mm.
you can set the curse. Set the timing the curse, or like an alarm clock. It'll come out with just certain period of time. I was thinking of a curse like when Gautam Rishi, Indra seduced Gautam Rishi, his wife, and so Gautam cursed Indra. What did he curse him to? What happened?
Oh my God.
He cursed him that his whole body would be covered with vaginas.
Yeah.
But then Indra was so unhappy. He said, "Please, please, please, don't. This is so embarrassing." So then, what did Gautam Muni do?
Change the vaginas to eyes. A
Yeah,
lot of
so
eyes.
that's why Indra's got many eyes. So, like in the Narad Muni Bhajan, Narad Muni Bhajan, there's a line that goes Sahasranana Paramasukhe. So sometimes that's translated Sahasranana, many faces, is translated as Sheshana. But sometimes it's translated Sahasranana, could be eyes, many eyes. That's Indra, many-eyed person, because he was so that curse was adjusted after it was given, right? So apparently, this curse that was given by Shringi couldn't be adjusted. You follow? So some curses can be adjusted, apparently, but this curse can't be adjusted. So sometimes, like, for example, you might go to purchase something and it says no refunds, no returns. You ever see that? You purchase something? Yeah. So apparently there's curses that are similar, that you can't retract them and you can't adjust them once you get them. No, you follow. You follow. And is there is there a reality to curses? Uh, do they actually are they actually exist, or is it just something we read about? Well, it's kind of interesting how this works. The Srimad Bhagavatam says there are, but do we have any experience of it in our everyday lives? What's going on with a curse or a spell or an incantation? What do you think?
I've heard in other situations, that people do that, but I don't have direct experience of it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a mystical side of it. There was a devotee in New Jersey. His name was Rohini Sutta, not the Prabhupada disciple Rohini Sutta, but so he he told me that he was growing up as a young boy, and his father immediately he so for some reason he's very precipitously fell ill, and the doctors were saying he's going to die in 12 hours. So somebody suspected that he had been cursed by a tantric. So they went to another tantric, and the tantric said, "Well, bring me one of his hairs." So they brought a hair to him, to this second tantric, and the person did some mantras, and they went back to his father, who's completely cured, no problem, as if nothing happened. But so apparently he had been cursed by this some enemy, and he had been uh, and the counter curse, the counteraction of the curse had happened through this other person. So here in this curse, we'll find later that this curse couldn't be rescinded or affected by anyone. Actually, we read in the last canto that Kashyapa Muni was going to come and try to uh, stop the effects of the curse, but he was distracted by Takshaka on his way there. So very interesting point. So, but do we have experience of curses in our ordinary life, regular life? I mean, I gave you the example of Rohini Sutta. Well, it's interesting. There was a book called Everything I Know I Learned in Kindergarten. It's a funny book written by a guy. But anyway, he explains there that in the Solomon Islands, when the natives there, they're kind of Aboriginal people, they want to get a particular piece of log for use for the log for their housing. They'll go into certain ones of them will go into the forest and pick a tree, and every day, right in the morning, they'll yell at the tree, or they make noises. So after about a month, the tree dies and falls over. Now, some people say that's mythological, but there's some evidence that's true. There are some, there's been research that plants growing when they listen to in the environment of, very controlled and nice music, they grow and produce fruit much at a 20 to 30% higher rate than those just without any sound. Yeah. And that plants exposed to harsh sounds, loud sounds, they get damaged. So sound definitely has its influence. I was thinking about, curses and things. So right by my house here, there's a Dunkin' Donuts. I don't go to Dunkin' Donuts, but there's always a line of people in their car coming up to Dunkin' Donuts, to get their morning or their lunch or whatever. So what do? They come up in their car in a line, and there's a speaker there, and they say, "I'm going to order this stuff." And, after, maybe 30 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever, then something comes out in the chute for them. Do they see what happens inside? No. But they just speak, Vak. They just speak, and something happens someplace, and then they get the stuff. That's like a curse, right? So who is in the curse world? You say something, but there must be a higher authority. Just like in the Dunkin' Donuts, there's some people, and then there's a boss, right? So in the curse world, there's some beings, and then there's the head, the demigod in charge. So there must be an address to that demigod, and so then the demigod calls him. Okay, calls up Takshaka. Okay, we got an order. You got 7 days. You got to deliver this bite to King Parikshit Maharaj. You follow? So yeah, this is happening. This is happening. There's other examples of curses that couldn't be retracted. For example, or mantras. I'll say mantras that could be retracted. Like Kunti Devi, she had this mantra to be able to call any demigod, but she didn't realize that was to call the demigod for procreation. So she chanted the mantra, looking at the sun, thinking, "Oh, that's a sun is such a sun god must be wonderfully dazzling." But when the sun god came, he said, "Okay, well that's it. That's time for procreation." She said, "Well, why? I didn't know anything." He couldn't retract the mantra. Couldn't retract the effects of the mantra. You follow? So some other real life effects of Vak. So, for example, now we're talking about modern day politics. So in Georgia, there was contesting. There was some concern that perhaps the votes counted there were not counted properly. So one of the president's attorneys broadcast that oh yes, the carts, there was cheating in the counting of the votes there, and these two people were guilty of that cheating of the counting of the votes. You know this? So what happened? What happened?
It was like a recent, not recent, I mean, like, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, it happened in the
Yeah,
last few weeks, right?
exactly.
I mean, there was a lawsuit. So what happened was, just by that attorney of the prior president saying that, these two people, they got showered with insults and threats and murder threats and all kinds of things. So Vak words cause like a curse. It's like a curse. Although the it's not a higher power that's invoking it, but a medium power or a lower power that's doing it. So very interesting. So these things are going on. In Harry Potter, Harry Potter? The whole thing with Harry Potter is there's certain spells that you can have spells to get a certain thing. Well, so here we're finding that the spells are working. Now in Kali Yuga, the spells aren't doing so well, mostly. I mean, you can utter uh, utter mantras and curses and things like that, but the the best spell, the best mantra to utter for the benefit of oneself and others is the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just as there are curses that will bring destruction to others, there are sounds and vibrations that will bring great benefit to others. And devotees, not like they would not like to emulate Shringi, but would like to emulate Lord Chaitanya, who has distributed the Hare Krishna mantra and the process of Sankirtan for the great benefit of all people in the world, for us and others. When Lord Krishna was in Dwarka, was it Dwarka or Mathura? I forget. Anyway, Rukmini wanted to marry Lord Krishna. She had heard about him from Narad Muni. So she sent a love letter, a marriage proposal to Lord Krishna via a Brahmin. Do you remember this? Remember this? We don't have the actual letter. It's not in any museum. But she sent the letter through this Brahmin because a Brahmin could be trusted. And when Lord Krishna welcomed welcomed the Brahmin to his home, to his palace, he said, the good wishes of a qualified Brahmin never go in vain. Isn't that interesting? So that's Krishna saying that. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Krishna conscious good wishes of devotees to others, ourselves, you, and all other people, will not go in vain. Just attempt to do that, to wish well to people. Kapila Muni, in describing the qualities of sadhus, said, Titikshava Karunika Suhridam Sarvadehinam. They're very, very tolerant, very merciful. Suhridam Sarvadehinam. And the best friends, the intimate friends of all embodied persons. So, we're trying to not follow in Shringi's footsteps, but follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by using these mantras, Vak Vajrams, for the benefit of ourselves and humanity. One interesting point also I'll make is that usually you'll find that if you offend a devotee, like Lord Srila Prabhupada says here that Shringi made a great mistake, a great mistake. If you offend a devotee, what do you have to do to get free from that offense? What's
You
that?
apologize and you also serve.
You have to apologize to the devotee.
Yeah, you surrender, you apologize, you request your request. So in this case, we will see that Shringi never apologizes. So you'd think that he is going to get some reaction to the offense and the sin of assassinating the world leader. But you know what happens? His father apologizes, Shamak Rishi. And because his father apologizes, he freed Shringi from the offense, which is very interesting. Because ordinarily you say you got to do it. The person has to do it themselves. But because Shringi was a young boy, an unqualified young boy, that Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, therefore, Lord Krishna accepted the apology from the father for Shringi's action. Isn't that interesting? So that means,
Prabhu, it's because like the child was young and immature and little, so the parent
yes,
did it.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So it's not that there was no sin. It's not that there was no offense. Definitely there was. It was a grave offense, a serious offense. But the apology was given by the father. And just like we were talking about, curses, there must be, when you have a curse, there must be some higher power that you're communicating with that's going to arrange for the results of that curse. So in Krishna consciousness, the higher power that we're communicating with is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Krishna, the spiritual master, or Lord Chaitanya. And so Shamak Rishi, he communicated with Lord Krishna and Parikshit Maharaj to give his apology. And Krishna said, okay, your son is forgiven. We'll see that coming up later. It's very interesting. All righty. I know it's time. It's 9 o'clock. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's always nice to hear your classes. Always. We learn so much. You make it so interactive and we can jump in and ask questions. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Prabhu, just a couple of minutes. I would like to ask the voice, have any questions, any comments, please, clarification, please do raise your hand and jump right in to ask a question. Prabhu, there's one question that I wanted to ask, and I never understood this word. I think it's the next verse. The word vitiation.
Yeah, vitiation. What does
What
that mean?
does that mean?
It means to spoil or to ruin.
Okay.
It's Srila Prabhupada's vocabulary. Nice.
Very, very, eloquent. I have to
Yeah, I had
say.
to look it up myself too. I didn't know.
Very eloquent English. I was like, Krishna. Okay, so because I was trying to understand that last sentence, in that next purport, one should see the root cause of vitiation and not try to condemn the system.
Yeah, the
as it
system of
is.
being Varna ashram. Varna ashram. So it's a spoiled system today because nobody is following the qualities of the work. But that doesn't mean the original system was imperfect. No, it was given by Krishna. Chaturvarnam Mayashrishtam. Krishna says, I created it. So how can Krishna's creation be imperfect? It's because it's not Krishna's system anymore. It's been infected, degraded by Brahmins who have emulated Shringi, Brahmins who are not beneficent, but maleficent. Not munificent, but maleficent. So that's a big problem. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that part of the destruction of the Varnashram system is that the Brahmins were unnecessarily critical and oppressive to the lower castes. So, he said that in some towns in southern India, if a Shudra was walking down the street, the Brahmins, if there were Brahmins, everybody close their doors, the Shudra's walking by. I mean, how disgusting, right? But you know, Lord Chaitanya, he emphasized that whoever, any person, even people coming from very degraded backgrounds, if they take up Krishna consciousness, if they have the blessings of Krishna and the devotee to take up Krishna consciousness, they can come to the highest destination. Mam hi partha vyapashritya tepi syu papa yonaya striyo vaishus tata shudras pepi yanti param gatim. Even lower class people like us, we can make the highest destination. How? If we take shelter of Krishna or the pure devotee of Krishna. So that's their blessing.
Thank you, Prabhu, for actually answering that question for me with that word and that whole sentence. Thank you. Thank you so much. Any questions from devotees? We just passed the 9 o'clock hour. Just want to make sure that I'm not ignoring anybody. Yes, go ahead, Prananath, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, in addition to being, I apologize on there's a lot of background noise probably. Can you all hear me?
It's a little muffled for some reason. I couldn't exactly understand what you said. Did anybody else?
It's a little bit muffled. Probably if you speak slow, Prabhu, we'll try to pick up the words.
Okay. So I know Parikshit was forgiving, he forgives Sringi, but it's also true, right? Somewhere I remember reading that in one of the purports that Srila Prabhupada writes that Parikshit Maharaj could have nullified the curse as well in this case.
Yes. Being a devotee, being a pure devotee, he's equally as powerful as Shamak Rishi. So the question would be, well, how come Shamak Rishi didn't nullify the offense? Nullify the curse, I'm sorry. You could ask that question. Prabhupada later in the purport says, well, it wasn't possible for Shamak Rishi, but for Parikshit Maharaj, being a pure devotee, so even the regular rules and regulations of curses can be transcended by those people who are in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's in control of all curses. He's made the system. Lord Krishna's made the system, so he can adjust it in any way he likes. Ordinarily, you can't. But someone who's a pure devotee, they can do anything because they're locked up with Krishna. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Just like, if you buy something from somebody, from a store, it says, it says no returns and no refunds. You bought it, you got it. I got it. No returns. But if you happen to know the manager of the store, you can get okay, right? He'll give it, or she'll give it to you, like that. So Krishna's the manager of the store. I mean, it's a mundane example. Ordinarily, no returns, no refunds. Ordinarily, that curse can't be changed, but Krishna can do anything.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for asking that question, Prananath, Prabhu. Thank you. Any other questions from devotees? Before I don't want to forget anybody here and ignore anyone if you have any questions. If there isn't, Prabhu, thank you so much for a wonderful class, and we thank all the devotees for joining us. Such a wonderful interactive class. Vanchakraptibhyascha, Kripasindhabhevascha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.